Hello, I'm Megan, aka Just Run It, and this is Megan's Monday Musings. Last time I was talking about casting on my Nanny Swimo sweater, the Mid Coast by Jen Steinglass knit love wool, and I've gotten some significant progress on it, and the choosing of the colors I think went well. I chose the pink and the blue, as I mentioned as we were looking at the colors, and I just absolutely adore how it turned out. It's got so much contrast, and I just absolutely love that blue pop right there, and then the pink against the vintage denim. So this is actually from Jill Draper Makes Stuff. It's her Esopus base, and it's vintage denim is the colorway, and it's just got a depth of color that you could not believe. So because it's National Knit a Sweater in a Month, I thought maybe I would talk about some of my tips and tricks for sweater knitting. So this week I'm going to be talking about when you divide for the sleeves, and the pattern generally tells you to put a certain number of stitches on a holder or on spare yarn. That I have used with much success a technique called provisionally binding off. So provisionally binding off is basically just binding off with a spare piece of yarn. And the benefits of doing a provisional bind off, here I can show you what that looks like. So I used a red piece of yarn here that's spare. It's a little thicker than the fingering weight that the yoke is knit out of. And then I just did that. So you knit one, you knit two, you slip the previous one over, knit the next one, slip the previous one over. And you're basically binding off. And again, the benefits of that on something like this is I find when I put it on spare yarn or on a spare needle, A, the needles get all tangled up, but B, those stitches kind of get a lot of slack worked into them because you're kind of flipping the sweater as you're knitting on the body of it. And as you can see here, the stitches stay very nice and secure with that bind off rather than being able to slip around on the needles. You're still going to have, some slack get worked into that edge stitch that you're going to have to work back in. But it works a lot better to hold those stitches on the provisionally bound off. And then when you go back to put it in on the needles to knit the, see, I was very close on this one, to put it on the needles to knit the sleeves, it's just like ripping off a bind off or tinking. It's just like and you put it back, the stitches back on the needle. And so I think that's a tip that I use on almost every single top-down sweater that I knit. And I hope that you find it helpful too. Bye.